Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and just to provide some context for this video, we recently had a really cool collaboration with the LEGO Group to showcase the new LEGO Ninjago book, Quest for the Lost Powers. This video right here is actually a video that I initially made for their kids app, LEGO Life, where I had a discussion with some other great Ninjago fans from around the community, and it's basically a 10-minute podcast discussion. If you don't know the LEGO Life app, make sure to check it out on the App Store or Google Play Store, where you can find all sorts of cool content that's exclusive to their app. So for this video, I have basically truncated a much longer form of our original podcast. You can check that out linked in the description below. It was over an hour long. We had a lot to say as longtime Ninjago fans about this book, both positive and negative, whereas this video we were asked to keep it down to 10 minutes, so it's pretty choppy, it's very quick, but it gets the point across, and if you're just wanting to watch a very quick video showcasing our thoughts on this book, then this is the video for you. With that, let's jump right in to the vid. Hey there, you're watching LEGO Life. I'm Duckbricks, and today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new book, a canon expansion to LEGO Ninjago's lore, Quest for the Lost Powers, which takes place right after Ninjago crystallized and details the story of how the four main ninja got their powers back. Today, we are joined by an amazing panel of Ninjago fans from around the community, and I can't wait to introduce them, so let's get into the book right now. Hey there, you're watching LEGO Life. I'm Duckbricks, and joining me are...
Hi, I'm Sean, or Mind.
Hey, I'm Ace, or aka My Brick Opinions.
Hi, I'm Parachuting Kitten, aka Maya.
And today we're taking a look at Ninjago Quest for the Lost Powers. It is a brand new book, is showcasing probably pretty relevant events leading into the new Ninjago series launching this summer. So, a lot of opinions on that.
I think overall, the book is very cute, and I enjoyed myself reading it through twice now. It feels like very important stuff that I would be missing if you jump into the new series. I had a good time.
As you said, lots and lots of stuff that I think fans have been wanting to see in the show for a while, that we've seen the book, but the good thing is that you can read the book and get those stories, which are canon. It was a focus on each of the characters, which was cool. So yeah. I liked it overall. It was nice.
I don't know if it's nostalgia, but I really enjoyed that feeling at times, you know. Sometimes I would just smile, because it would remind me of Season 1, bring that joy, the emotions I felt.
I will say, one thing I did appreciate is it's very clear that the writers have seen the whole show and care about the show. It's not, there is a lot of care put in, like there's references to most of the seasons, like more like quote-unquote obscure things too, which we'll get into more with the spoiler territory. It acknowledged the show, right? It was not like a standalone thing.
The one thing that I think is interesting is that if it's a young kid's first time reading a Ninjago book, maybe they've only seen Crystallized, maybe they've only been following Ninjago since season 11, then I think rehashing some old character arcs or storylines does make sense, because they're not maybe going to go back and watch hours and hours of TV starting at like season 1. So this is like a way for them to kind of feel the same thing.
One thing I absolutely loved about the book is the illustrations. They reminded me a lot of classic, back in 2011, 2012, the card art that we used to get. It's done in a very similar style. Like obviously they describe what's going on, but actually seeing it too, it was very pretty. I very much like that aspect of it.
I feel the book just deserved more illustrations.
Yes.
It's the same art from the Spinjitzu Brothers books, which is pretty cool because I think it's the same author as well. May as well jump into spoiler territory. As we mentioned, we've got 4 stories for each of the 4 ninja. Each of them is kind of geared towards them overcoming a moral, a lesson, a personal growth that they each are able to kind of unlock within themselves. Some of them were stuff we've seen before. Other ones, like for example Zane, it was covering a little bit more unique territory that was really interesting to see, that people have been wanting to see. But the first one that we hit is Kai. What did you all think of the Kai story?
So I personally enjoyed this one because obviously it wasn't fun seeing how Kai treated Skylar at the beginning, but I appreciated that we got some development between the two of them. So finally getting a little bit of that was really nice. Like it was a whole story with no one else distracted. It was about the two of them and about Kai learning to accept that he can work with somebody else.
It's also contradictory because, you know, at the end of Crystallized, it's framed obviously as the big triumph and we all gave up our powers, but we're stronger for it and we saved the day. But then the implication is that like a week after that, everybody was like, I'm so useless, this sucks, we gotta leave. And it's like, guys, that's the end of the show. And now it's just like, it goes downhill so quickly.
Off note, unrelated to anything else, but the fact that Firefang's alive implies that Char could still be alive, and that means a lot to me.
Yes, Char lives. The first story, just starting off the gate with that, I'm like, whoa, I did not like remember their dynamic to be this toxic, but I guess that was because they were trying to emphasize like how off his game he was when he lost his powers.
The notes that I have on my digital copy of like, yikes, get out of there, leave him. Like so many times. And ask him about it, he's like, is that not a date? And you're like, No! No, that's not a date. Get out of here! I mean, they know each other, obviously.
I mean, the one thing that I did appreciate was that they haven't really done that before in the show. It was something new, that it was a dynamic to their relationship, and dynamic that we've never seen before. It wasn't my least favorite. It wasn't my favorite either. I'm guessing a lot of our favorites is going to be the same story, but we'll see. Maybe we'll find out next. I think we've spent enough time on the Kai story. We'll move on to what I guess is probably the most interesting one for most of us. It's a story that Tommy Anderson, Ninjago creator, has been wanting to include in the show for a while. He recently revealed in an interview that he wanted to include it, but got some pushback from the writers. They wanted to make it more comedic. He wanted to make it more serious. This time, the book does actually take in that story. And that is Zane finally facing the Ice Emperor. So, Sean, why don't you take it away?
My thoughts is, obviously, I love this story. Zane is my favorite ninja, but this is also just something that I have been wanting to see in the show forever, and help me appreciate Zane more as a character, which is impressive to say when, like, this is a character that's been around for 11 years. There's still more things to learn about him.
Like you, Zane is my favorite character. Like you, this was a story I was dying to see. Of course, the one title that leaked from Crystallized was Return of the Ice Emperor. And I was like, yes, let's go. We're finally having it. And I'm like, oh, no, this is not what we wanted. I think it was so cool to be able to see this actually be covered. I think one of my favorite things was the snowboarding Zane felt like a reference to Zane's original concept. A lot of concept art came out around Zane being the snowboarder, so I really did like that. I also love that they actually referenced going back to Tournament of Elements, where Zane had kind of a crisis of identity. He was like, I'm not the White Ninja, I'm just a replica. That was the most interesting thing, I think, to me, that happened to Zane, where it's like, if he quote-unquote dies these many times, is it still the real Zane? That's a pretty deep concept to cover in a kid's show. I think having him kind of finally face it again and overcoming it in a book was so cool. And I remember back in Tournament of Elements when that episode came out, I was like, wow, this is something really interesting that they could do with Zane's character. I was skeptical about bringing him back after the sacrifice, but I was on board when he said that line, am I just a replica? So it was cool to see that. And then, of course, all the references going back, finally facing the Ice Emperor. That was good.
For me, I would just find myself smiling from ear to ear, just going through Zane's memories, going back to tournament, seeing the Ice Dragon, the Elemental Ice Dragon, then going back to Zane meditating underwater. For me, there's so much nostalgia in the pilot season and season 1. It brought me so much joy. I am the White Ninja, then I am the Titanium Ninja, and then I am the Ice Emperor. That transition, I read through it once, and I was like, I need to relive that again. Once I got to Zane's, I was like, okay, no, this book has my attention now. But it's not my favorite, though. I have another favorite in this book, but let's hear out Maya now.
I really like this one. I think it totally makes sense that out of all the ninja, Zane has the internal journey while all of them have these external conflicts. This entirely takes place in his mind. It's Inception for Zane. But I like that. Everything fit his character very well. And also, I've read a lot of fan fiction that covered this topic. And of course, it's a kid's book, so you can't go that in depth with it. But it kind of takes it back to, I don't think they really considered the implications of all of the fallout of the Ice Emperor when they made Zane the Ice Emperor. And so this book did the best it could, but it definitely felt a little easy to get past this whole, I was an evil, attempted genocidal emperor for 60 years. And all he had to realize was just that oh, but I'm a good person, it's fine. And but for what they were working with, I think they did really well.
I think it's now time to just jump into the summary of what happened in the Cole chapter.
We really haven't spent that much time with Cole and Lou outside of season 1, right? So I really appreciated that aspect of having Cole and Lou have all this bonding time, and I really like that aspect. It kind of grows upon what was pre-established in season 13. There's something about father and son stories that always grab me, and this time I just connected with the story, and I really had a good time with it.
There was such a difference between the Lou we saw in season 1 and the Lily we saw in season 13. And it's these two were in love once, right? They had a kid together. This story, I feel perfectly fills that gap, showing the role they each played, why they liked each other, and what that relationship was.
You can tell Cole is by far the best of the 4 at coping with trauma. Kai's pestering his not quite girlfriend. Zane is who needs to rewire my brain? And Cole's just I guess I can try being a farmer. That sounds kind of fulfilling. And it is. Very, very nice story. Just a pleasant little time.
A very minor thing I want to point out is the leader of the villains is a classic Lego Ninja minifigure. Yes. He's a samurai from the classic Ninja theme, and I saw that. I was like, wow, that is very cool, because that's the one classic Ninja minifigure I own. I'm like, oh, that's canon now. That is a canon Ninjago minifigure now.
Oh, that was the coolest thing for me, seeing that. I think I found it hard to focus on the story as soon as the illustration came up, because I was like, oh, there it is. Oh, that old Ninja figure. Yeah, that was awesome. I think it was a really nice story to get for Cole. Why don't we hop on over to Jay's story, which is the final story of the book.
Yeah, I like all of the Unagami Jay dynamic is cute. I love that we got to see more of it. It is just so random how they decided to make them interact. The whole climax of Prime Empire is him explaining his baggage with his parents. And then in this story, suddenly Unagami has to be the one to teach him. Season 12's end reveal comes right out of nowhere. There was no setup earlier in the season. So it is fair game because we haven't seen this arc before, but also it's been heavily implied that this arc happened off screen several times. But overall, I did have a lot of fun with this story.
Like, I enjoyed the setup, I enjoyed the pairing. I thought like the pairing was something unexpected, but I really felt like this was a missed opportunity.
I think for me, I liked the moral of the story. I think the lesson being that like family can be found family. It doesn't need to be people you are actually related to is great. Like that's a lesson that is an important one to teach kids. Okay, well, I think if we've summed up Cole, we've talked a lot about how we feel about the book as a whole. I like how we each have like pretty different rankings for the most part. Like we all got something different from the stories.
I would just say I recommend you check it out. If I've not read some of the other, like I haven't read Spajitsu Brothers or anything, but this makes me want to go check those kind of books out because I did have a lot of fun with it, and yeah, I recommend people go check it out.
I think older fans probably will have more problems, especially if they're very nitpicky with details. But younger fans, I think they're gonna love the stories.
Just a straight up good time. I really enjoyed myself with this book. Also, read with tea. Sensei Wu recommends you drink some tea while you read it. And confirm, very good way to read this book.
Yes, indeed. This book does have a drink pairing to go with it that is explicitly stated at the very beginning. So there you go. It's got some tea. I think for me, definitely a recommend. I try to go out of my way to read all the canon Ninjago books. Stuff like this and Spajitsu Brothers are the really important ones for me to read. And as a longtime Ninjago fan, it was really rewarding to go back and see a lot of references and callbacks, but also references that mattered. It wasn't references for the sake of references. It was calling back to things that really helped fuel the story. Whether it's Cole and Lao's relationship or Zane facing his trauma, there were a lot of really deep dives into Ninjago's history, which as a longtime fan I could appreciate, but also putting myself in the mindset of a kid checking this out for the first time, it provided enough information to really just hit the ground running. It recapped everything that you need to know about the show. You could read this book, not have seen a single episode of the show, and probably be okay for the most part. So I think that's a pretty cool thing, how they're able to juggle both audiences and please both old and new fans alike. And I think with that, we have summed up our look at Quest for the Lost Powers, coming to bookstores near you. And with that, we have summed up our book club discussion of LEGO Ninjago Quest for the Lost Powers. Be sure to let us know what you think of the book, and you can check out the book at your local bookstore or online. Thank you for tuning in to LEGO Life. I'm Duckbricks, and you've been watching our Ninjago book club discussion. I'll catch you later.